What's going on, guys? It's Nine Shadow. I just recently got into the Rising Thunder Alpha, and I gotta say, I am pleasantly impressed. Given the lack of buttons and motions in this game, it's actually pretty good. Now, instead of giving you my thoughts on the game, since you guys have probably gotten your own taste of this game already, I figured I'd just take a look at one of the characters. Of course, I'd have to pick the guy with the invisible powers. I mean, come on. My name has Shadow in it. I might as well. So, today we're gonna look at Crow. And this guy is all about mix-ups. He's all about setting up yourself after a knockdown. I can think of at least half the cast that's out on Rising Thunder right now that specializes in this kind of thing. But I think Crow shines at this really well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's take a look at Crow's light attack. It's a quick jab. I don't know how many frames it is, but it looks pretty quick, and I haven't gotten knocked out of it yet. Moving forward or back doesn't do anything to change the properties. You can see his crouching is pretty quick as well. A jump in light is pretty good to mix up your opponent in the air. And you can see here how close range changes its properties. You can link a couple of them together. His neutral jump close range looks like it can be an instant overhead. Here you can see the jump in light attack, sorry. You can see how ambiguous it is when he jumps in, especially once you see his cross up. Alright, let's take a look at his medium attack. You can see it's pretty quick, comes up pretty quick on whiff. Moving forward makes it into his overhead, and it's a pretty quick overhead for what it is. You can see here it's a multi-hit, so it's pretty good poke against people like Talos, who have armor. Moving backwards doesn't change it. His crouching is pretty good. It's pretty fast as well, but you can get hit out of it, so be careful with that. His neutral jump medium is a pretty good instant overhead, so when you got him knocked down, just neutral jump medium and you can open him up. His arc jump medium is a pretty good air-to-air, and it's what I use all the time. Moving on to his heavy attack. His standing heavy is a little twirl there. It's a pretty good poke. It is slower than the rest of his normals though, so be careful with that. I've eaten some random DPs before. His forward is a charging twirl, and this causes a knock-up, as you can see. Again, be careful with dragon punches or uppercuts. You could eat a lot of them if they go ham on you. Crouching heavy is a sweep. It's multi-hit, as its animation suggests, so it does cause knockdown, but on armored people it does not, because it takes away the armor and then it hits them. His neutral jump is also multi-hit, as you can see here. If you time it well, you can change how many hits will land. You can see there it hit twice as opposed to 3 times, and there a single time. So you can mix that up in your setup game. His regular jump in heavy is well, it's his most damaging jump in, but it's also its most obvious. I mean, it's a flaming ring coming at you. How can you miss it? This is his cross-up, and it's just holding down heavy. You can see how similar it is to his jump-in light punch, in my opinion, at least. Granted, this game is only a week old, so people will start getting used to this animation soon. So, you want to be a certain range when you do jump-ins. I try to gauge it so that the medium just about misses, and that's your ideal range for the jump-in. Because then you can mix it up. It's very ambiguous. So right here is your best range. You can see that cross-up hits and the medium jump-in hits. Alright, let's move on to his alpha special. You can see here it's a chargeable projectile that arcs over and back down. This does catch people in the air, so If, I guess, you want some sort of anti-air, this can be it. But I would not do this on Wake Up. So you can see here, there's different ranges for it. If you hold back, it's a short range. If you don't hold anything, it's medium range. And if you hold forward, it'll be far range. Far range doesn't actually reach full screen, but it's almost there. You can see you can link a charged and uncharged together. Let's move on to his second special. This is the default one, Core Puncture. Core Puncture, I'm not so much a fan of. Holding forward or back doesn't change its properties, but it does always bring him forward a little bit. I believe it's an overhead from its animation, but I've never actually tried it on an actual opponent. I have seen Tatsu do some combos with it, so this may have some merit. But honestly, you're better off picking the other variation of the beta special. So the other variation of the beta special is Soul Cleaver. And it's a little charge forward that he does that hits twice and causes a wall bounce. You can see it's cancelable, so it's very, very versatile. And it's very easy to convert off because of that wall bounce. Now, Aerial Beta special is this little downward slice he does. And it always comes out no matter which variation you use. So I think that's what Tatsu uses to combo his Core Puncher with. You can see here you can juggle with the same special, since the cooldown is fairly low, at least in training. I think I have done this in a real match as well. You can see how easy it is to convert off with a forward heavy. So let's take a look at his last special, and it's his Invisible Bubble. Now this thing has a fat cooldown. I think it's, what, 20 seconds? I can't remember off the top of my head. No, the training mode cooldown is not indicative of a real game. So this is a pretty good mix-up tool, and you can see there's a sweet spot above your opponent where it can mix them up when you jump in. On the ground is not so much useful, I think, and I think it shines as a jump in, as it makes them jump up a little bit. So the sweet spot is a certain spot right above your opponent that kind of crosses them up. Kind of what you saw there. And once you have that established, you're free for a really, really ambiguous mix-up. Now, Crow's Overdrive. Crow's Overdrive is a projectile that hits multiple times, as you can see here. Causes a knock-up as well, so you can follow that up with either a forward heavy, or, personally, a Soul Cleaver. I personally use it to get some space, or to set something up in the corner. Now you are punishable right after it leaves your hand, so I wouldn't use this right on Wake Up, or at point blank range. Okay, let's move on to combos. Now I've seen several combos on YouTube, and they're all fairly impressive, but I think this one is going to be your bread and butter. So this is a very simple combo. All you do is forward heavy into your Soul Cleaver, and forward heavy again, and into Soul Cleaver. Now that causes knockdown. And you can link this from a jump in as well, and you can see I jump in with a cross up. It is basically jump in with whatever button you want to press, and then link a close heavy. Cancel that into a Soul Cleaver, forward heavy, Soul Cleaver again, and that would cause your knockdown. In a corner it doesn't really work, so you're probably gonna want to do a sweep instead. Using a regular heavy just causes them back to stand up and recovers them. And because this is a game that doesn't really punish people for pressing buttons, you're probably gonna eat a flurry of punches or a DP or something. You gotta be careful with timing too. You can see here that I miss it because he was facing the wrong way. And if you do it too late, you're gonna whiff it completely. So let me show you a full setup after a corner combo. Now here's another combo I want to show you guys, and I think this is the highest possible damage combo that's worth the execution. Now this is gonna take 2 cancels. I think you gain a third one, but I keep it to 2, just for demonstration purposes. The main combo is simply a close heavy, cancelled into his alpha special, jump cancelled, beta special in the air, as soon as you leave the ground. And then close heavy again, cancelled that into a alpha special, and then beta special in the air, just after you leave the ground. And that should link all together. By the way, I should note that I think it's easier if you do the far version of the projectile. I've messed it up several times using the neutral, and I think it's just easier to time if you hold forward and then up. Now the best part of this combo is it doesn't end with the ultra. If you do it properly, and you time it right, you can land a soul cleaver, cause a wall bounce, and continue with your bread and butter combo. Now let's talk strategy with Crow. Now, Crow's buttons are really good, but they can get stuffed out really easy. As fast as Crow's buttons are, there are characters with better buttons than you in certain situations. So, when you're trying to get something going, you shouldn't be mashing your crouching medium, let alone your crouching heavy. I've been stuffed 8 out of 10 times by a Dauntless mashing her crouching medium. Like I said before, his forward heavy is also really unsafe, so be careful with people with uppercuts like Vlad or Chell. Most important thing with Crow is that you gotta be really patient. I think he has a little bit of trouble getting in, especially against someone like Chell, and it's a little intimidating to have to run in on someone like Palos, who has that armor going for him and that anti-air grab that can stuff his jump-ins. So like I said, be very patient, try to get a knockdown, and work from there. Like I said before, his main game is to do those ambiguous cross-ups. Remember, your best range is just before the standing medium clips the guy's forehead, and that's your best range to jump in. Once you have that mastered, it will be very difficult to block against your jump-ins. Another thing to note, use your projectiles a lot, especially when they're knocked down. It can stop their momentum quite heavily, and it can give you some momentum yourself. More than once I've had the short-range projectile stop a combo just because they got hit by it in mid-string. So I think that's all I have to say with Crow. I know it's been only a week or 2 that Rising Thunder has been out, so I myself don't really know much about the character. I've only taken and shown what I like from what everybody else has been doing. So if you guys have any suggestions or maybe even better strategies, let me know in the comments.